we're just here on a trip coming back from delivering heifers, and so we just wanted to kind of share a little bit of maybe just the conversations that go on in the truck, and we've been having with the Hereford side of things, the mini Hereford side. We've been having calving season has started, and has started rolling pretty good, and we've been pretty happy with what we've had so far. So we've had 10 heifers,
8 heifers,
8 heifers, and
bulls.
8 heifers and 2 bull calves so far. So going out pretty good. And then Justin, he's at home right now, taking care of the ranch, taking care of things as he's going, and organizing up the girls, getting them all doing their chores and getting going on just household stuff, and it's been pretty good. We left last night and headed over to go deliver these calves, and so now we're heading on back, and it's been such a good joy to be able to do this. The year hasn't been the greatest. Last year wasn't great at all, but just the time spent being able to get away, and just kind of take a breather away from the chaos of work and then the ranch and everything. It's been kind of good. So it's kind of like a little 2 day, 1 night vacation just to get away and get to see get out and travel, get on the road, do some truck driving, and get out. That's part of my roots from back in the day. I grew up as a truck driver's son, traveled the countryside. I've been able to see all 48 continental states. I've been in Mexico, been in the 2 Canadian provinces. So I've been able to see the world and see the country, but there are times where it's really nice to be able to get out and stretch your legs and stretch the truck and listen to a turbo whine and get out and get on the highway. And you know that in agriculture, even though the terrain's different, the dynamics of the weather and the things that happen are different, but the people are all the same. We're all loving, caring. We love and care for our animals. We love and care for our kids, our communities. That's why we raise beef. That's why we raise cows, is to help, 1, to help feed America, but 2, to help support our local communities. I mean, we feed a lot of people with the beef locally. So as people involved in agriculture all across the board, there's people at the butcher shops. Those guys are part of the agriculture side and scope of things. There's guys that transport our animals, across the state and even across the country. Those guys they are priceless. They are priceless. To put a price tag on the guys that take our livelihood and transport it from our ranch and transport it across the state or across the country safely. They get our animals there safely and on time. They love those animals. When they put them on the truck, they love those animals just as much as we do. So they take that pride in it. And so when you see a cattle truck going by, give them an extra wave. It's important. It's important that you're acknowledging the fact that they're a vital supply or a vital link in the supply chain of our beef industry. But as we drive through Montana, we get to see some of the most crazy, most wild country and terrain, and it wouldn't be useful for anything other than running cows on. And that's the value of being able to run cows up into the hills and into the trees, and even just on rough terrain. You can't put a tractor out there and farm it. To put cows out on it, it's a valuable section of our industry. Not only that, but grazing cows out in the trees and off into some of the rougher terrains also helps mitigate wildfires and mitigates a lot of the dangers that we see out there. You know, especially last year, raging fires through California and such, and you can see the defined lines when the fire comes to a section where the cows have been grazed through, and you got the green grass coming up behind it. It takes away all that fire fodder, and it's definitely a helpful thing. We're up there taking stuff that would normally go to waste, taking the sunshine and taking the grass and turning it into a viable protein that humans can eat on stuff that's the most imperfect ground to be able to do anything else with. So just thank a farmer and rancher when you get to see them running cows out into the woods and out into the trees and out on the rough terrain. Them cows are actually going to work for you too, because they're keeping the fire hazards down. They're keeping the wildlife well fed. They're eating good grass, and wildlife are able to get out and eat good grass too. So there's a lot of levels to this as we explore agriculture in Montana. There's a lot of value in just knowing the diversity of agriculture in itself. A lot of people nowadays are disconnected between their where their food comes from. They're disconnected where they're from how it starts to where it ends. And it pains me. It makes me sad. It makes me angry too. To be honest, it makes me angry when I see people make comments on social media saying, "Well, why are you growing cows? Why don't you just go to the store where the beef is?" You know, I mean, there's something to that just it pains me. It makes me angry that people have been complacent enough to not know where their food comes from and to not pay attention to it. And they get wrapped up in emotionalism on it, and it works against everybody. There's nobody that cares more for the land, more for the animals than a rancher, farmer. Nobody. And when you're out at 2 o'clock in the morning in cold weather, I won't even get into the levels of it. But you're at 2 o'clock in the morning checking for calves coming on the mamas, and you go to bed, you wake up at 3:30 knowing that you gotta go back out, do it again, go check again. So you go and check again, and you find one that you gotta stay up with until 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you kind of miss a whole level of sleep there. But it's worth it. We care for them, we love on them, and they are part of the family. Our kids have them named all by their name. So does Mom. Mom has them all named, every last one of them. So we don't even have them named by numbers. We have them named by names. So as we're out there calving, it's so-and-so's having a calf right now.
My favorite is Jessa.
Yeah, such a sweet little cow. Just come right up to you and just love on you. So what is unique about the calving season this year that we've been able to compete and do, or just complete, I should say, in our operation? We were successful in the past couple of years, we've had a struggle with breedback rates and some other things in the mini Hereford side of things. And
some overall herd health.
Yeah. Overall herd health, and actually watching that happen change right in front of our eyes for the better. As we thought we were doing things right. We had mineral out for them. We had this and that out for them, but we didn't know that the herd had contracted a case of a different type of tapeworm and some of the other things. So their hair coat, their resistance to other things, other issues. So pink eye and hoof rot and just various other things that they, parts of the elements of nature. And so we ended up getting with a nutritionist. We got onto a different schedule of things. We changed some things up. There's some products that we'll talk about maybe a little later. But we ended up really having a good turnaround once we made those changes. The herd changed, and now we got mama cows that have basically bred back now. Well, we've had 10 calves in 6 days on the minis, and we're still going strong. So it's not spread out. Nobody's cycling funny. Everybody's cycling, on a pretty good schedule. So that's been pretty good. And what's the average calf weight been so far?
I would say about 50, 55 pounds.
Yeah. So this is on the mini Hereford side. It's not on our full-size herd. Anyway, some of the videos and stuff you see off of CJ Farms, we do have some full-size cows, but we're mostly talking about the minis right now, just because. Well, what's unique about the minis with the health and condition about them?
What do you mean unique?
Well, what type of things do they, what kind of, we see events happen quicker because of the minis,
Oh, getting back to their good weights?
Sure, yeah.
You notice drop in weight a lot quicker than you notice in the big herd. You also notice a gain in weight a lot faster than the bigger cows. Just their bodies are smaller, so their ups and downs are a lot more noticeable, which is good. You notice when a cow is getting in a little poor condition a little earlier than you notice a big cow is getting in poor condition, so it's easy to figure out the problem sooner, and it turns around a little quicker for you than on the big herd.
Yeah.
A lot of times by the time you realize a standard cow is in poor herd health or poor health,
she's dropped down
dropped a lot by the time you actually notice it in her body. So it takes a lot longer to turn that around, figure out the problem, fix it, and get the weight back on.
Yeah. And hair coat is one of the biggest indicators of a good healthy cow, and what we've just seen, just an amazing hair coat in the cows, just being on this other program. So
for sure.
Yeah. And Justin's been doing such a great job in I know on the channel he hasn't been super active lately, but he's also been doing a great job just tending to the needs of things that he's had to do. He had a job that he was doing there. He signed on to do a job with a guy. It's a good friend of ours to do some warehouse, basically tearing down an old warehouse and putting up all new stuff inside a new warehouse. So he was
pretty much off the ranch for about 3 months.
Yeah, he was busy off the ranch for quite some time. And
he'd come home and join us for dinner and hit the bed and he'd
I tell you what, folks, it's
hard.
That was hard for that. Well, yeah, it was hard without him, but it was hard on Justin. Yeah. He wanted to be at the ranch. That kid, he loves cows. He loves the ranching. He loves farming. He loves all parts of it.
He does.
Me myself, I love cows more than I love tractors. So I want to have more cows than I do. I want to have more grazing going on than I do. Yeah, I'd be using farm tractors and stuff, but he really likes the farming side of it, and gets a little bit of that every now and again with some of our own relatives and stuff. So, been pretty good. But
Yeah.
what are some of the main things that we use the mini Herefords for, that people may not know why and what we do?
Sure. 4-H, showing the kids. They are amazing entry-level
Yeah.
beef projects for the younger kiddos that want to take a steer. But I don't know about, a lot of parents, but I wasn't comfortable throwing my 60-pound 9-year-old daughter, we have little kids, out in a ring full of 1,500-pound steers. So we gave her a little steer that weighed in at 195 pounds, and when he finished, full finished, he weighed 550 pounds. That was her first steer at 9 years old.
Yep.
Her and that steer looked eye to eye. He was probably, how big was Chester? 38 inches?
Yeah, he wasn't very tall.
Maybe
but he
38 inches tall, and they
he
looked
looked like
eye to eye.
he looked like a 55-gallon drum, though.
Yeah, he had a solid finish. He got a purple ribbon at the fair. She gained a ton of confidence. Not to say she didn't get dragged around a little bit, because a 500-pound animal is still enough to drag you around.
Yeah.
But that's where we get a lot of our start, is on the younger, smaller 4-H kids wanting to get into that.
Yeah.
Or the kiddos that want to take that leap from a pig or a lamb up into a
There
big
you go.
steer, but they need
Yep.
that stepping stone to build the confidence to get into that big steer.
Right. And the infrastructure,
big.
of the, a lot of people that are involved in 4-H that have pig and sheep, they want to do cows, but they don't have a
facility.
large facility. So the entry level, or the ability to start out with minis is a viable entry level thing. I mean, yeah.
Right. And I'd say on the beef side, the great thing about mini beef, one whole steer can fit in your freezer.
Yeah,
You don't have to split one and only get half the cuts.
Right.
You can take the whole steer, fit it in your freezer. Your steak size portions are more normal to what the average human can eat.
Yep.
So instead of a T-bone steak the size of a dinner plate, it's about the size of your hand.
Yeah.
If you're a bigger guy and you want one the size of a dinner plate, cook two.
Yeah.
But for those of us that just like a, nice
Modern
little
size,
steak,
yeah.
modern size steak, they're perfect. Those are our two main avenues that we're marketing, is, the beef side, obviously, and the showing, and on the registered cattle.
Yeah, and so as we grow that herd size to accommodate the beef and the locker beef with some of this, this last pandemic that we've had to deal with, all of the stuff that everybody's had to put up with, that's made it difficult. We kind of run into some odd situations that we really didn't anticipate. So that's been something that's really ate at us. I mean, not being able to get our steers in. I mean, we would be able to have a phone call in to the butcher shops, two local butcher shops, have a phone call into them, and next week we'd be able to take finished steers in, so we could finish them out, and then whenever we were done finishing them, whenever they were finished to a point, we got to the weight that we wanted, we could just call and they would be gone. But what's happened lately?
The butchers are packed. It's months and months. There are some butchers in parts of the country. Thankfully, we aren't facing this one, but I know there are some butchers out there that are years out, booked out for 2 years before you can get a steer in. Around here, we're about 3 to 4 months compared to a week and a half before.
I know that.
So that's
100 miles from the house. 100 miles from the house, there's a butcher shop that is a year out. They're 11 months out. They're 11 months out.
Yeah.
And
then on the other side, the showing side, where a good majority of the shows were canceled in 2020, people weren't buying show heifers. Why do you need a heifer if you're not going to the jackpots? So we sat on our weaned heifers for quite some time before people were, you know, wanting to buy anything for showing because they didn't know what that looks like. So
and when you got a shaky, whether you're going to have a show season or not, that really eats at that. So it really slows down the sale process, and it slows down it slows down and backs up the people that really want to be part of the show industry anyway, because they get them as soon as they can, so they can start halter breaking them. They can start like get around this guy.
Just start working with them.
Yeah, start working with them. Start getting them to be fit and you know, in their condition, etc., etc.
And your most popular animal to show at these shows is your yearling heifers. Once they have a calf that size, that's a little up. You have to up your game a bit to show a cow-calf pair. And you know, most of your people don't want to show a cow-calf pair.
Yeah,
so if they skip that heifer year and just start showing as a cow-calf pair, that's just not reasonable for most people. Cow-calf pairs are tough. So not wanting these yearling heifers caused us some setback. You know, drop the price as low as we can possibly drop the price just to keep afloat. And
and it's interesting because you see a huge interest in it, but people don't know what the future holds, so they're a little shaky on it, and so then they err on the side of safety, you know, just not purchasing anything, and so, which I totally understand and I totally get, but on the other side of it, that sure hits at our pocketbook too. We not be able to pay for the hay that we bought, and not be able to pay for, you know, the taxes and the, you know, ranch payment. I mean, there's a lot to it that's all involved in that, in just the sales, the marketing of the calves and the cattle. So.
Well, and you can't take a load of minis and throw them on the truck and send them to the stockyard auction.
No.
You just can't do that. You're going to make, I don't know, nothing. Yeah. You're going to make nothing on it.
And what's crazy is the value of them animals is so much greater because they are smaller. They can be in fences and areas that are not built, you know, 5-6 rail high heavy wood fence or heavy steel pipe fence and stuff to keep full-size calves in, full-size steers in and stuff. The minis can be in, you know, 3-rail, 4-rail fence, and a strand of electric wire keeps the suckers in, you know. I mean, so those are some big things that we see that are a value of these little guys, that people can, you know, grow a small herd in their own backyard and have, you know, 15-20 acres, and they can have a couple head of mama cows and raise their own beef. Some of the best things for people to do. Yep. Some of the best stuff. So what else do we use the minis for? The grazing.
I was going to say playing.
Yeah.
I like to play with my
Yeah.
Grazing is big. Grazing is huge.
Yeah.
Intensive grazing, mob grazing.
Yep.
They're so
changing the way the culture of the grass and the soil health. We're able to manipulate that a little better with the, you know, we do it with the minis. You can do it with the full size too, and we do some with the full size, but we do it with the minis mostly because
they're easier to move. They're just, I don't know, they're just easier to move, easier to handle. It just works better for us to use the minis. The minis will respect one strand of hot wire at, you know, their chest level. One strand of hot wire will keep them in. I've known big cows aren't quite that respectful for one strand of hot wire.
What ends up happening with the big cows is you end up having the wire high enough to keep the cows in, but the calves will run back and forth underneath it. They don't respect it either. So, but we try to do as much as we can with the full size, getting them.
Well, and I think too, our minis are just more trained to it. So I can go in the head, I go in front of our minis, and I just start calling them.
Yeah.
I call the herd leader April, and I just start calling April, and she perks up. She knows what she's doing. When I start calling her name, she knows we're going to new grass, and she heads for the new section, and all the cows follow her. And we've done it for so long.
Yeah.
And April was born in 2010, so she's 11 years old. She's been doing this since she was born, and she had the most amazing mama ever, Grandma Cow, and Grandma Cow mob grazed for her 17 years of life.
Yeah.
And you start them as calves, and they just know what you do. They hear the click of the reel. They come running to it. I mean, and maybe our bigs would get there if we didn't have the minis that we use, because they're already there. I suppose, we just had the minis first. They're trained to it. Super easy. That's like the bulls. We just holler at the bulls, let's go to work. And they almost jump in the trailer. I mean, we just talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
People think it's pretty crazy when I call my herd from the front and not
we move a whole
chase them
herd
from
across
the back.
a couple of fields just by calling them from the front. Yeah, it's one thing that the minis, I think, are certainly better at doing is taking those challenging pastures, and maybe it's just the way we've trained our herd, but they're taking those challenging pastures, and they know that there are things that they do to the effect of what they call trampling. So they'll go in and they'll trample some of the pasture, they'll eat it, but they actually do a really good job cleaning up. So cleaning up along fence lines, cleaning up along ditch banks and stuff like that. Our minis are just really good at that, which then helps us find the borders, find the issues, find the things that we need to fix or what have you. Plus, it just cleans the pastures up even that much better. So when you go out and you look at a pasture, as it's coming back green, it's an even green all the way across the thing. It's an amazing thing to watch. The other thing is I see the minis doing is a lot more than I see the full size do is laying down a lot more. Well, I think that the minis definitely do better. I think is being able to fill their bellies and be able to spend a lot of their time laying down. They'll lay down randomly. They've just had their fill. So pretty country out here. Big wide open area. That over there is called Racetrack Peak. Racetrack Peak.
I just like the variety that Montana offers.
Yeah.
You've got, we just went through the mountains. You saw it on the mountains, and now you're just getting out into a little bit more.
Now you're going to be coming in through some big wide open prairies.
Wide open prairies for our...
Well, for the western side of the state, I mean, we got family on the eastern side of the state, and you can see for miles, and it's flat as a table. Beautiful country, though. I mean, I love it. It's just something about Montana that's just definitely worthwhile. Definitely worthwhile living here. I've lived here all my life. You have too. We're both Montana
natives.
Montana born and raised. So, yeah. And Justin, all of our kids are. So
I'm 5 generations. Johnson is now 6.
Yep. Yeah. What a great opportunity for these kids. So, Well, we had some fun. We wanted to share a little bit of chat of our chat coming home from delivering calves, and a little bit of the truck driving stories and stuff. So anyway, we're gonna let it get back to Justin and his duties that he's been doing and dealing with. As we were leaving, we had the neighbor's barn caught on fire. The neighbor's another neighbor's bull got in with our cows, and we were trying to get a cow to nurse a calf. Didn't have enough milk, so we're trying to get that dealt with. And he was bringing home a load of hay, and so as you watch the channel, the stuff that he videos and puts on there of driving his truck and hauling hay or any of those things, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. So when he got home from hauling the first load of hay, he had to go out and sort off the neighbor's bull and get them out of the cows. And it was funny because the owner of the bull was out there trying to get him out of the cows, and Justin shows up, and in 10 minutes they had it all sorted off and dealt with. He's a good ranch hand. He's a good, smart kid when it comes to that stuff. Yeah. So I mean, I know that the channel makes it look like that's all he's doing, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scene. And,
unfortunately, you can't run the camera at those times.
No.
There's just so much chaos and stress and stuff that you just
I'd be yelling at him, shut the dang camera off.
Get the phone out of here, right? Right.
Because there's a time and a place for it, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to catch those raw moments on video because that's not where your mind is. You know, your mind is on the situation.
Plus, I don't know if we're working cows. I don't know if people really want to hear what you call me.
They probably don't want to hear me.
want to hear what Justin calls the cows.
His sisters. What his sisters call him.
Cow working day. If anybody's a rancher farmer out there, they know what cow working day involves. So there's a lot of things that just get said.
All the memes about cow working day are true.
Stays on cow working day.
Yeah, they're true.
So
you can't hold me accountable for the things I say on cow working day.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah, like
making memories.
Wife chased you down with the cattle prod. If you don't shut up, I'm going to use this on you.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So just know, folks, that farming and ranching is a lot more than just hauling hay and moving a cow herd from one pasture to another. There's so much depth that goes into it that I'm sure if we get a chance, we'll probably try to show some more of that throughout the seasons of the year and such to help Justin out. And this conversation here is one of those that we have quite a bit just in conversation, just talking about all sorts of stuff. So we'll sign off from here and probably let you see some more scenery as we go along, and maybe he can edit some of that out, as they always say, right? Edit it out. That'll get edited out. Probably won't, but
he'll use it against us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you guys ever get a chance to shake the hand of a bull hauler or cattle hauler. Yeah, I should say it that way. They call them bull racks around here, but anyway, or you get to see a log truck driver. Shake their hand too.
Any truck driver.
Yeah, they're all involved. Yeah, they're all involved in agriculture. So many different ways. It's such a deep facet of things, and spend some time asking questions. Ask your farmer. Ask your local farmer. What does he do? How does his operation run? What kind of things does he have? If you don't have a local farmer close by, if you live in the city and you don't have a clue what it is, Google it. Go find.
Learn. Educate yourself.
Yeah, go find yourself a farm or a ranch that's, the city's not too far away from the country. How about that?
Yeah.
Go find somebody. Everybody knows somebody that's got something.
That the beef in the stores did not come from the store.
Right. You're right. It came from out here on this wild prairies, in the trees and in the mountains and all that. All the mountains you see, all the grasslands that you see us taking pictures of. You can't grow anything else there. That's why there's grass there. That's why we have cows out there. So just know that as you see the sprawl of the city going out, it's taking out more and more of the food resource. So we need to be cautious and careful of all of it. We need to be thankful for each and every day. We need to be thankful for the people involved. And we're just going to sign off here and say, God bless, enjoy.
And eat beef.
Then eat beef.